Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me, Renee Fong, on Updates at Noon. On our headlines today, employers urged to accept digital HSO certificates. Putin puts Russian nuclear forces on alert. The Health Ministry MOH has urged all employers in the country to accept copies of digital certificates of the Home Surveillance and Observation HSO order and release order RO to avoid congestion at COVID-19 assessment centres CAC. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said this was due to many patients coming to the CAC because their employers declined to accept digital certificates but instead asked for a written copy. He said a report to the National COVID-19 Quarantine and Low Risk Treatment Centre, PKRC, found that 30 to 50% of cases at CACs were not for deteriorating health case assessment while undergoing home monitoring.
Masih ramai yang datang CAC sebab dia nak dapat notis secara bertulis. Sebab majikan kata dia tak terima screenshot. Jadi saya minta semua majikan peka terhadap perkara ini dan menerima sijil digital HSO dan RO, release order. Sama ada notis untuk asing ataupun notis boleh keluar. Guna screenshot yang ada dalam MySejahtera. Jika tak terima, buat aduan pada saya. Saya akan cari majikan.
Khairi also asked individuals who underwent isolation at home to answer questions on the MySejahtera application twice a day, as the average number of active cases who answered questions was only 55%, even though the MOH had set a target of at least 70%. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today graced the opening ceremony of the first meeting of the 5th session of the 14th Parliament. The King was met on arrival at the Parliament building by Dewan Rakyat Speaker Tan Sri Azhar Azizan Harun and Dewan Negara President Tan Sri Dr. Rais Yatim. The Dewan Rakyat meeting will run for 16 days until 24th March. In his royal address, Al-Sultan Abdullah said the economic recovery needs to be accelerated so that the country will not be left behind. The meeting is set to focus on efforts to prepare the country to enter the endemic phase of COVID-19, as well as on political stability through the government's intention to table the anti-hopping bill. Meanwhile, the Dewan Negara meeting, which will be opened simultaneously with the Dewan Rakyat today, will last for 9 days, beginning 21st March. To reduce the risk of COVID-19 infection in the Parliament building, Dato' Azhar had said that the standard operating procedure SOP for the previous Parliament meeting would be maintained. It includes requiring members of Parliament and staffers to undergo the reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction RT-PCR test 3 days before the sitting, and the installation of transparent partitions between the seats of MPs as part of physical distancing practice. All 385 tourists stranded on Pulau Pontian, Terengganu since Friday are now being ferried out of the resort island. Pulau Pontian Lodging Premises Association President Abdul Aziz Cik Abdullah said the stranded tourists can now be ferried out as the weather is good and the sea is no longer choppy. Abdul Aziz Che Abdullah also said that the operation to move out the tourists, who include 18 children and 2 infants, began at 7:30 a.m. today. A total of 15 tourist boats will be plying between Pulau Pontian and the Kuala Besut jetty until all the tourists are safely moved out of the island. The tourists are staying at 19 hotels and resorts on the island, and they could not return home after the boat service was suspended due to rough sea conditions and strong winds. A 13-year-old boy became the second flood fatality in Kelantan after he was found drowned in Kampung Talang near Kadok Kota Baru at 7:15 p.m. yesterday. Kelantan Deputy Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Zaki Harun said the victim, Muhammad Fazli Tamri, a student of Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan SMK Kubang Kiat, was believed to have been riding his bicycle with his friends before skidding and falling into a canal at the village at 6:20 p.m. Datuk Muhammad Zaki said Muhammad Fazli's friends tried to save the victim but failed and called nearby villagers for help. He added that the search operation managed to find the victim around 50 meters from where Muhammad Fazli fell. Datuk Muhammad Zaki said the boy's remains were brought to Raja Perempuan Zainab II Hospital for an autopsy and further action. An elderly man aged 70 had drowned earlier yesterday at Kampung Kuala Gris near Dabung, Kuala Krai, becoming the first flood fatality in the state. The Melaka Water Regulatory Authority BKSA has been actively implementing a forest restoration project on 11 sites involving 23.24 hectares in the former illegal encroachment areas around the Durian Tunggal Dam. Melaka Chief Minister Datuk Sri Sulaiman Mad Ali said among the steps that have been taken are clearing oil palm trees around the dam to ensure a safe water supply and protecting the catchment area for the benefit of people in the state.
Semua dah selesai. Alhamdulillah, saya yakin dulu macam-macam tanam, ceroboh pokok, sudah penanaman bukan secara haram lah. Jadi penanaman yang dia tanam ni nanti dia pencerobohan berlaku. Jadi bila membaja pokok perlu dibaja, bahan chemical perlu juga penggunaan. Jadi bila hujan, air ini akan masuk ke kawasan tadahan. Jadi akan mencemarkan kualiti air. Bila kita nak bersihkan, sesuatu memerlukan kos yang lebih tinggi lagi.
Speaking to reporters in Durian Tunggal, Datuk Sri Sulaiman said forest trees will also be planted on the affected sites under the Forest Restoration Project, involving 50 hectares through the Peninsular Malaysia Forestry Department JPSM this year to ensure environmental sustainability in the area and dam. Barisan Nasional's BN decision to field many new faces in the Johor state election is expected to pull in more votes for the coalition. UMNO Vice President Datuk Sri Mahathir Khalid said the new faces were not only academically well qualified but also could meet the people's aspiration to restore political stability in the state.
Zaman telah berubah. Malah wanita juga ada kualiti pendidikan. Bukan setakat itu saja, mereka juga telah terbukti wanita boleh memberi perkhidmatan yang baik kepada masyarakat.
Datuk Sri Mahathir, who is also Rural Development Minister, said the most important things is BN's offer. Its primary narrative is political stability, which is for the people's well-being. BN is contesting in all the 56 seats up for grabs, with UMNO fielding 37 candidates, MCA 15 and MIC 4. Among the contesting parties, BN also has the most number of women candidates at 14. Early voting is on 8th March and polling is on 12th March. Still to come in sports, massive loss for national sports scene with passing of 2 greats. Malaysia's middle distance running great R. Subramaniam passed away yesterday at the age of 83 at Kajang Hospital. The former Olympian passed away yesterday afternoon when he was brought to the hospital due to chest pain but died after an hour of being warded. Known as Super Subra, the self-coached athlete who used to run in between rubber trees, qualified for the 1964 Tokyo and 1968 Mexico Olympics. At the 1966 Asian Games in Bangkok, Super Subra struck silver in both the 800 meters and 1,500 meters. He also strode his way to 7 gold and 4 silver in 5 SEA Games. Subramaniam, who also competed in the 1962 Perth and 1966 Kingston Commonwealth Games, worked as a prisons director off the track. Former national men's and women's hockey team head coach Yahya Atan, who was fondly known as Pak Ya, passed away yesterday evening at the age of 67. The Malaysian Hockey Confederation MHC announced in the statement that Pak Ya passed away at 6:45 p.m. at the Kuala Lumpur hospital. MHC said that Pak Ya loved hockey and he was synonymous with the sport and those affiliated to it. The statement read that Pak Ya always spent his time helping to develop the sport from the grassroots to higher levels. MHC also expressed sadness and conveyed its condolences to Yahya's family, adding that the Confederation would always remember and appreciate his contributions. Yahya had been admitted to Kuala Lumpur Hospital on 25 February after being found lying unconscious in the bathroom before the 2022 Malaysia Hockey League match between the Sabah women's hockey team and Mutiara Impian. Meanwhile, Youth and Sports Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Azumu also conveyed his condolences to Yahya's family in a Facebook post. Why do we tell you stories?
Relevant,
New,
efficient,
accurate.
reliable. We bring you extraordinary stories from around the world, from politicians, bankers, and even your favorite celebrities. This and many more on RTM's English News.
And that concludes today's updates at noon. In our top story, employers urged to accept digital HSO certificates. Tune in to News at 10 coming up at 10 p.m. on My Freeview saluran Berita RTM channel 123. You can also stream the channel via YouTube or RTM's Click web portal and mobile app. Thank you for watching. I'm Renee Fong, wishing you a pleasant day.